In this video, we're going to learn how to model a screwdriver. The first thing that you need to do is to draw a profile that we're going to revolve in order to create the handle of the screwdriver. For that, I'm going to build it in my top elevation. I'm going to give some dimensions to that. First, I'm going to start from the origin. So I'm going to use the P line, 0, enter, and then I'm going to draw a profile for the handle. At this point, it doesn't really matter what profile you model. So I'm just going to give it some dimensions. Say that it is going to be 1.5 inches, that going up, and then click, and then 0.5 inch this way, and then 1/4 of an inch going down, and then 1/4 of an inch that way, and then I'm gonna say 1/2 inch going up, and I'm gonna stop. Let's say I'm gonna continue and make it an overall of 3 inches. So I'm gonna say this is going to be 3 inches, and then I'm gonna go down and lock it to go down. Let's see, and I'm gonna snap to a point to mimic the same part on this side as on this side compared to this side. So I'm gonna say 1/4 of an inch, and then going up 1/4 of an inch, and then I'm gonna say 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 inch that way, and then going down. I'm gonna lock it. I'm gonna hit the tab key, and then come all the way here till it projects it, and then click, and then enter. So that will be my profile. Overall, we're going to check the distance, and from this point to this point it is so it says that it's 4 feet and a half, 4.5 feet. So I wanted to be using inches, so it seems like I got the units are wrong. So if something like this happens, you have two options. Either when you type units to change your units, you can change this to now it's feet. So it's, if I say inches, hit OK, and then it says model units change from foot to inches, scale model by 12. If you hit yes, so that means that we'll multiply it by 12. So if I measure that, now it basically put the same distance at 4.5 feet and convert it into inches now. So from here you will have to scale it. So I can select that, scale, first point, second point, and then I want to type what will be the new length. So it will be 4.5 inches. Enter, and I zoom in, and I check the distance, and it says 4.5 inches. So that's one way that you can scale it, on how you can fix that problem with the units. Another way is that if I undo and let's check, and let's go back to when I had it as 4.5 feet. Okay, so it's 4.5 feet. So if I type again units, and I change this to inches now when it says scale it by the model by 12, then I said no. So it will keep basically the same units and just convert that into inches. So 4.5 feet, it will be equal to 4.5 inches. There wouldn't be a need for me to scale the object. So now when I click on that one and I say do not scale it by 12 and I check the distance, now this is 4.5 inches. So this is good to go. So those are the two ways. Sometimes by doing the math, it's hard for us, so we can just select one option, check the overall dimension, and then if needed, then we can scale it down. So overall right now is 4.5 inches. So that's good. Now that I have the handle, I need to model also the shank or the metal piece that has the tip. So I'm done with this part. Now I need to work on the shank or the metal part. So for that, I'm just going to draw another P line. I'm gonna say I'm gonna start from this point going up. I'm gonna make it quarter of or 1/8. So 1/8 of an inch going. Let's do a quarter of an inch going up, and then from here is going to go 6 inches, the length of that, 6 inches. Enter, and then come down again the quarter of an inch. Okay. Now let's say that instead of quarter of an inch, well, if we do a half, let's see. Let's say that I want to adjust instead of so right now quarter of an inch will be the radius. If I wanted to be more than that, let's say, you can also window around. So select the object, window around, select the 2 points, these 2 points, and then from there use the gumball and then move it another quarter of an inch, and now it's half inch. So if we do half inch, then the diameter will be 1 inch total. That will be too much for the metal part, so I'm just gonna undo, and then, but just in case, whenever you draw like a profile and you want to modify the points, then that's the way you can do it too. You need to rebuild the whole thing. So in this case, like for the handle, if I check the distance for the overall diameter of the handle, I'm gonna lock it. So it's 1.7 inches. So I want it to be, let's say that I want it to be 1.25 of an inch. So what I would do is create a guideline, 1.25, enter. Now I'm going to move this because that will be my reference line, and now I'm going to scale it. So I'm going to move this down, move it from here, and then now that I'm moving, I'm going to lock it. Remember hitting the tab key, and then I'm going to click on there. So it's in place, and I need to adjust these points. So I just need to select those points and then move. So from that end going up, to make sure that I'm going straight up, I'm going to lock it just to prevent, and now I can click anywhere. Okay, so now we have adjusted the handle. And then another thing that I would like to do is create a curve, like an arch in here. So I'm just going to draw a curve and then arc start and end point. Start and then the point. I'm gonna turn off my ortho there, and now I can use the trim. Cutting object is this, and removing that part. So now that they're separate, I'm going to select both. Well, not just two pieces, but the 3 segments that I have, and then join. Okay, so now I can revolve, and then I'm gonna say my center rotation is going to be this line along the red axis, and then I want it full circle. Now let's look at it, the 3D. Shaded, and that's our handle. So now we'll do the same thing for this one right here. Revolve. The center of rotation will be that the red axis again, full circle, and let's look at the metal part. Now from here, I can add the little the tip in here, but that will create like more work, and those are the times when I need you to like think ahead of the game. So I think it's easier if you modify the profile and it includes the little the tip in it. So this tip right here, if we include it before we revolve it, will make our life a lot easier when doing that. So I'm going to modify this and just come back and add a tip right here. It's going to be, I'm gonna say 1 inch, and going down, lock it. Then I have 2 segments. Now I need to use the fillet command in here. So fillet, and then radius, I don't want radius, so radius 0, and then I can just select these 2 elements. So now I just need to like join them, and now I can do the revolve. You can do the axis either off, it doesn't need to be within the object, it can be outside the object. Full circle, and you can see that it's just basically using a line that's infinite along that axis, you know, to create the center of rotation when you revolve it. Okay, so now I have that, and now I need to trim and fix the tip of the metal part. But before I do that, I would like to add some texture on the actual handle. So you know, sometimes there's some cutout on the actual. I think it's hard to see from this image, but usually there's some cutouts like that come like right here, so you have a better grip on the actual handle. So we're gonna add those. So using the interpolate points, I'm going to, in my top view, I mean, again, you can do this in the elevation, either on the front or the viewport, or on the top view. I will say just draw a path or a curve. I'm going to turn off my ortho that goes along the shape of your handle. Enter. So from here I'm going to lower a little bit, because basically that curve, what it will serve is as a, you know how we revolve it in here, that line, kind of the same thing we will generate from this one. But revolve, remember, it works when you are trying to create a uniform, when you revolve along a uniform path or a straight path. Now you can also create a profile out of this, kind of like creating like a two-piece, and it will work basically on any curve or line. If I do it, let's say in perspective, there's a new command. I'm going to turn on my ortho so you can see it. And I'm going to draw also a different profile. Okay, so the command that we're going to learn is, it's new to you, is pipe. So pipe, as the command says it will create a, it will revolve around the object based on a circular profile. So select the rail. So this is the rail, so it will be the line, and then we'll ask you for a radius. So I'm going to say that the radius is going to be, right now it's 1, but I want the rail, the radius to be 0.25, so 1/4 of an inch. Enter, and then we'll ask you to put another one at the end of the one is at the beginning of the curve and another one at the end. So 0.25, enter, and then just hit enter, and then it will create that uniform pipe around the around your rail or the line. Now if we run it in here, so pipe, it's like that. I'm gonna just keep the same radius, so I'm just gonna hit enter twice, because it's gonna remember the 0.25 radius, and it will create that object. Pipe only works with a circular profile, so it doesn't work with rectangular profile. So that's why it's called pipe, because it can only create circular shapes around it. Now you can also create a pipe that has different radius. So at the beginning is smaller, is a tapering, is tapering along the curve. So it goes from 1/4 right now. I wanted to go from 1/4. That was my mistake. I put 11. So pipe rail. So it is 1/4. It's going from 1/4 to 1 inch. Enter, and then enter. Also, you can, if you want, if I do it on the curve, you can place different profiles along the curve. So 0.25 the first one, then the end is going to be 0.25, and if I want to place intermediate profiles, I can just click on the curve instead of hitting enter, and then I'm going to say right now it's 1, enter. I want to click again along the curve, and I want this to be 0.5, and then another one in here, I'm going to say 0.25, and then another one right here, and then or let's say 1. And then after that, once I'm done placing intermediate profiles, then hit enter, and then you will generate a shape. So I'm gonna place this object now that you know how to use pipe. I'm gonna say examples of pipe, and then change it to that layer, and I'm going to turn off that layer. Okay, so I created this path already, and I want you to create a pipe along that line that's uniform. So pipe, this object, enter. So I want it to be, I'm gonna say it's gonna be 0.5, so it's ½ inch and ½ inch at the end. Enter. It seems like you got a smaller radius on the end, so I'm gonna hit escape because I don't want that. I'm gonna run it again. Pipe, this object right here, so 0.5 and 0.5. Enter. Now let's look at it in 3D. Okay, so I think I'm gonna leave it like that, and then now we're going to go on the right elevation, so we see the back of the object, and I move that object into, I'm gonna say void. I'm gonna call it void. Change object, and then now I'm going to use a new command also. This is the polar array command. So polar, or array polar I should say. Select the object that to array, so it will be the pipe. Enter, and then the center of rotation, because when I model it from 0. If you remember, 0 is my center, so I can just type on any of the viewports, so 0, enter, and then the number of items. So I wanted those items to be, let's say, so now it says 3. Let's say that we need 6. Enter, and then preview, yes, and then the so it's 360, so it will be a full circle. So I just need to hit enter, and now I get, because preview was set to yes, as you can see right here. Now I get the preview of those objects on how I will create the copies. If I want it instead to be 4, I can just type 4 now, enter, and I still generate some previews for those copies that it's creating. But in reality, I just need, well, I need 6. So 6, and then let's say hit enter. So you place those objects right there. So now what I need to do is use the Boolean difference and kind of like remove the blue objects from the handle piece. So I'm just going to see how it looks. Solid difference, select the object of the surface of polysurface to subtract from. So from the handle, enter, and then I'm going to select the other objects now, all the blue objects, and then enter when done. So I think that was too much for the pipe. So what I would do, I'm going to undo, and instead of using ½ inch, I'm going to use ½ inch for the pipe. Array polar, object, enter, center of rotation 0, because that's my 0. So along this point, all these objects will be revolved. Oh, never mind, I'm gonna escape. I have to do this on my right viewport. So it's right here. Array polar, object to array, enter, 0 for the center of rotation. Yes, I want 6, enter, and then I want a 360, so enter. So that's good. Enter again, and now I will go. If I were to do it just as for you to see it, if I were to do the polar array on the on the perspective, it will basically array it along my work plane. That's why I had to do it on the front view, or I will have to change the viewport, the C plane on this view. So if you want to see it, so it will be array polar, so you can see what will happen. Select the object, the center rotation will be 0. But remember, my work plane is flat right now, so let's see what happens. Enter, and then full circle, enter. See what happens? Is based on my work plane. That's why I needed to do it on my right view, because my work plane is vertical. So you can do it in the perspective, but you will have to change your work plane to be a vertical work plane. So I'm gonna hit escape and place back my elements. Okay, so now I can remove those blue elements, blue pipes. So solid, Boolean difference or difference, object to subtract from, enter, and then select the blue solids. And that's what we wanted. From here, now I just need to modify the tip of this object. So for that, we will use the wire cut. Basically, you just need to draw a line that goes from right here, I'm gonna say somewhere in there. Let's see if we can modify and lower this point a little bit. Okay, so I think that's it. And now we'll use mirror along my blue, so I can make sure that I have my ortho on. Okay, let's see how it looks like that. And now I'm going to go in my perspective. If I can run it in my top elevation, either one, it will be fine. And then I'm gonna say it's like those will be my cutting objects, but it needs to be one P line, so I need to connect those two. Join, and I'll say wire cut. So like the cutting object will be this P line, enter. I'm sorry. So wire cut, select the cutting object, so it will be my curve, and then select the object to cut. It will be that element, enter, and now I will cut it, but I want to cut it in both directions, so I'm going to say both sides, and then after that first click, then I need another second click to create that void preview. So another click going forward, keep all, I'm gonna say no, enter, and then that fix the tip of it. So if you wanted the tip to be tighter at the end, we can do that. If I undo, I select these 2 points, and now I'm gonna scale it with the gumball. Okay, and then repeat the same process with the wire cut. Okay, and there you have your screwdriver, and now you just need to assign your construction lines to a layer and then hide it. If you want to assign different materials, just make sure that you have a layer for the handle and then a layer for the metal part of the screwdriver. And just make sure that you assign different colors to those.